Hello, I hope you are doing well. Today we will be talking about how to deal with emotional triggers. So first off, what is an emotional trigger? An emotional trigger is oftentimes a situation or a person, maybe a place, that automatically makes you feel distressed and makes you act in a way that's harmful and hurtful to yourself and or others. A lot of times it's associated with negative and or obsessive thoughts. So this could be in everyday scenarios such as confrontation or public speaking. Or maybe it's something a bit more personal and serious, such as finding out that your partner has taken an interest in someone else. The core thing here is that this feeling, it's derived from the amygdala. It's derived from that fight or flight automatic response. But in these instances, it's important to remember that you are not in a life-threatening situation all the time. And there are ways to address these triggers in a way to make the feelings that arise from these situations, from these people, make them a bit more manageable. So before I will move on to the two methods that I'll discuss today, I want to give credit where credit is due. I have been reading this book, and this is really the resource for this video. I started reading this because I thought I had codependency, but I don't tend to have codependency. However, I do appreciate all the methods and skills taught in this workbook, and I do think that they would be beneficial to really anyone, not just people with codependency. And if you'd be interested on me doing a video on codependency, let me know in the comments down below. So the first method that this book covers is exposure therapy, and the author does preface that this sort of method is not recommended for people with very traumatic triggers such as sexual assault. Some other key indicators of this being a traumatic trigger is maybe you might feel like you're having a panic attack, or you feel that you are coming out of your body and witnessing yourself react. So in that scenario, if you feel like this is a really intense trigger that you're working through and you don't feel comfortable even just thinking about it or working on it on your own, I myself and also the author suggest finding a licensed mental health professional to help you work through that. So now back to exposure therapy. Let's take the example of confrontation. Say that you and your partner are living together and you have not been happy with how they've been maintaining the common living areas. They've left their stuff all over the living room. They leave dirty dishes in the sink always and never take out the trash. And you want to bring this up so you can find a solution, but you are really afraid that this might turn into an argument. You might feel like or seem that you're being nagging, and you're afraid about pushing this person away. So the first step is to write about what you're anxious about, what your ultimate goal is, and identify 3 small sub-goals to help you build up to that ultimate goal. In this scenario, you're feeling really anxious about starting a fight and pushing your partner away, but your ultimate goal is to find a middle ground where you both are participating in helping clean out the common room area, the common space, in a way that seems both fair and acceptable to both parties. So some 3 small sub-goals that you can set for yourself to help you work yourself up to confronting your partner. You could practice with a friend. You could maybe stand up for yourself when you're being mistreated at work. Or maybe you could tell your family that you're not able to make it to the next holiday because you're deciding to work. The next step, the second step, is to rate how each of these small sub-goals, rate them on a scale from 1 to 10 on how anxious it would make you feel. And then you'll game plan it and see how these scenarios would actually play out. With talking to a friend, they're probably going to be really supportive and hear you out, so that will probably be lower on the anxiety scale. Let's call it a 2. With at work, for me personally, I am not confrontational at work at all, so that would be higher up on the scale for me if you just kind of lay low and work in the background, do your own thing. We'll give that a 9. And then with your family, telling them that you won't be able to make it for the holidays. Talking with your mom, she'll likely feel disappointed, maybe a little mad, but at some point she'll get over it. We'll give that a 7. And then step 3 is to complete these tasks over time and see how they really play out. And once they happen, going back to your step 2 when you game plan those scenarios and crossing out any of the assumptions that didn't actually happen. Doing so will help in proving that worst case scenarios aren't always the case. That way you'll eventually work up to build your comfort level, to build your confidence in, sticking up for yourself, for raising your voice, for knowing that confrontation, it's not in itself a bad thing, but sometimes a necessity of relationships. There's a way to do it effectively that both respects you and the person involved. Alrighty, moving on to number 2. We have the response prevention exercise. And I'm going to use an example that I think unfortunately a lot of people have experience with, which is infidelity, being cheated on, finding out that your partner has an interest in someone else. So step 1 is to consider the trigger. Maybe you're hearing from others about some shady behavior about your partner, or you're hearing from your partner less or seeing them less, and they've been going on spontaneous work trips lately or have been going to the gym at night. Something just doesn't seem right. Or maybe you have confirmation of something that actually went down. Step 2 is thinking about the old ways of reacting to this. Maybe you'll get extremely upset and engulfed and fixating on this behavior, on this happening in your life, feeling the source of impending doom and pit in your stomach. And maybe you'll start with angry calling and angry texting your partner, saying that this is over, saying that you're done, cussing them out, calling them names. Maybe you begin to scream and hit things, slamming doors. Maybe you down a whole bottle of wine to numb the pain and cry yourself to sleep. Or you find some other vice to help with distracting you from these intense feelings, and you start to feel really overwhelmed and start to feel worthless in a sense. Step 3 is taking a step back and trying to find the source of these actions. What are the thoughts that are fueling these actions? Maybe you're thinking that you're not good enough, that humans are non-monogamous in nature, that some people do argue that. And it was foolish to think that anyone would want you and only you. You don't mean anything to them, so why should you stick around? Woo! Working through this is a little triggering for me, so if it is for you, I encourage you to pause the video, take a step back, breathe a bit into your belly, recollect your thoughts, and remember that you're not in that scenario anymore. Step 4 is considering new ways to look at the situation. So yes, it absolutely freaking sucks. You can't change what happened to you, but you can absolutely take charge of what you will do moving forward. So consider new ways to look at the situation. It isn't wrong of you to want a monogamous relationship and to set boundaries on said relationship so that you have a safe place, so that you look at this relationship and your partner as a safe place for you. You deserve a partner that respects you enough to be truthful and committed to you as you are to them. So thinking those thoughts, moving on to the last step, we'll finish it off by visualizing the trigger, imagining these new, more positive, constructive thoughts, and then contemplate how you would respond differently to this trigger. So say that your partner does take an interest in another person, whether it's harmless behavior or not. You feel uncomfortable. It's not a behavior that you like, but it's not the end of the world. And at the end of the day, you can't control free will. People are going to do what they want, and you can't change the past, but you can move forward. So if you're feeling really overwhelmed or emotional, you can take a walk to calm down, maybe take a break and call a trusted friend or family member to talk it over and to gain perspective. And then you can ask to talk to your partner about it, to confront them about it, telling them what you know and how it makes you feel. And then they can either confirm or deny or essentially provide their perspective on the situation. And I think there are many ways that you can go about resolving this scenario, but I think you either have two options. You can either move forward by setting a boundary that both people will respect for the good of the relationship so that you can work to build trust and respect and a mutual loving relationship moving forward. Or if you feel like this person has had one too many chances, you can make the decision to walk away. So those are the two methods that you can use moving forward to address any triggers, to work through any emotional triggers, should you find yourself in a situation in the future, actually not should you find yourself, you will find yourself in stressful situations, emotional trigger situations in the future, because life will have stressful moments. It's inevitable. But it's really how you respond to them that is key. It really is what makes a difference and what determines the quality of life that you want to live in. So that's this video. I truly hope that you found it helpful, and if working through it and thinking through these scenarios was kind of difficult for you like it was for me, please know that you're not alone. Please know that there is help out there should you find that you need it. There's no shame in asking for help, and you are not alone in working through this. I am working through these emotional triggers with you. Again, I really do appreciate all the skills and tactics that I've learned in this book, even if you don't have codependency. And it's super cheap on Amazon. It's just like $11. So if you wanted to go ahead and give it a read, I would indeed recommend it. Let me know what your thoughts are on these two methods down below. Maybe share any scenarios that you were working through in your head if you feel comfortable. Always appreciate the comments, the feedback, the love, the chats that we have. So yeah, until next time, I'll talk to you later. Take care.